Hey everybody, welcome to Grimm's Forge Gaming. Today we are going to take a look at my Frostfangs Stamina Warden build. I posted a video on this earlier today, and we were basically just playing the objective in the game, and it was my very first BG with this build on in this guy, and I was really happy with the outcome. So I'll put that link to that video in the descriptions below so you can take a look at it. But let's jump into the build here so you guys can see what we're running. And just to confirm, we are in no CP right now. So basically the stats and everything that you're going to see here are going to be exactly what you would have for BGs and no CP Imperial City. I can jump over at the end of the video. I can jump over to CP Imperial City if you want, and that way you can see the stats over there. They're pretty impressive on the CP side of things. But no CP BGs, let's take a look. So jumping into the build, we are a 5 heavy build, and we're not running Fury, but we're a 5 heavy build and we're a 2 medium. The 2 medium that we're running is going to be our blood spawn, and we are running, except for this one, I don't know how that got missed, but we're running prismatic enchants on everything, and so I'll have to add that prismatic enchant onto that one. But prismatic enchants for everything, I think that's important for at least the way I'm running the Warden right now, because Warden has access to some really nice magicka heals, and it also has access to Vigor and Soothing Spores, which is a big stamina burst heal for us. And so we have access to 2 stamina heals and 2 magicka heals on this, which has been working out really well. Anyways, I literally just sent this gear over to this guy. I had not found a nice place for the Stamina Warden yet. Something that really caught my eye, and while I was playing it, something I didn't feel really strong on, and I sent this gear over to him, and I was moving gear around, and I literally just put this gear on him, and I was like, hey, let's take this out for a spin, and I loved it. I loved it. I will not be moving this gear to anyone else. This gear combination has found a home with him. But anyways, we are running obviously New Moon. When you're talking about a build that is going to be pushing over 4900, you probably have New Moon in there somewhere. And so we are running New Moon, and our jewelry is all infused weapon damage. That's how we're pushing a lot of weapon damage. And the other way that we're picking up damage is we are running Shackle Breaker. And so Shackle Breaker was a really nice complementary set, or it fit exactly what you need for a Stamina Warden. We need a good size pool for stamina, and we need a good size pool for magicka because we pull from both. And this build would really shine on a stamina DK as well, especially if you're running a combination dot slash dizzy type build. So anyways, that's the combination. We're running New Moon and Shackle Breaker, all infused jewelry. And now on the weapons, initially the plan was I was going to back bar the two-hander, and we were going to main bar or front bar our dual wield. That was the plan to start out, and once we got onto the build, I started kind of playing with different things, and I didn't really like where we were at on the dual wield side of things. And so I went for the more traditional two-hander. But because this was going to be our back bar, we have the weapon damage enchant on there, and I just left it on there. I said, why? What the heck? I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be where we're going to stay at two-hander, and until I'm sure. But anyways, we did Nirnhone this two-hander, and it is an axe, so that way we get the bleed potential from it, which would synergize well with a Stam DK as well. And then here's something that I noticed. Regardless of which bar you're on, if you have Nirnhone there and you're pushing a higher weapon damage on the bar that you are throwing out heals to yourself, you're going to see much higher heals. And it used to be And a lot of people believe this, like your back bar, you should be ultra defensive. We should be defending, and that might be true, but I'd noticed way higher heals by running Nernhone on the back bar as well. And so that that made the kind of a difference for me. Like there were times where I didn't feel like the heals coming in were adequate. They were like little baby heals, and I'm getting a lot of damage with from people that are, 5k weapon damage, 7k weapon damage, and so I need big fat heals during that time frame. So, anyways, this was getting it done, and so for the time being, we are running two-hander as our main bar and dual wield on our back bar. And you could run sword and board on your back bar, but you get more weapon damage out of running dual wield, and so that's what we're doing. I probably wouldn't run weapon damage glyph on these either because it's only a one-hander. The weapon damage enchant glyph is going to be much smaller than this one. 348 additional weapon damage when this procs, and so that'll be actually when this procs is what gets us up to 4,980 weapon damage. So I'm gonna probably just leave that for the time being. It's not like this build is lacking burst potential. So let's look at the stats here real quick. This is unbuffed. And so our max magicka is at 12,000 and max health is at 22,000. Um, and our max stamina is just under 23,000. We are in no CP right now, so that is on the low, and that's basically because we are running infused on our jewelry, pushing higher weapon damage. If it weren't for that, we would probably be in the 24 to 25,000 max stamina, and because we are running Fury, and so if you've run Fury or not Fury, New Moon, because New Moon does not have any max stat stamina or anything like that. That's why we'll see lower max stat numbers like this. So, but it's been working really well. So let's buff up here and we'll look at these stats again. Right. You can see our weapon damage here is 4,500, 4,562, and like I said, you add that 400 on top of that, and that'll take us to our 49. Spell resistance 20k, physical resistance 20k, and when our blood spawn procs, that'll take us to 26k on both of those. That's great. Stamina recovery is going to be at, let's buff up again here. Stamina recovery right now is going to be at 1292, and that seems to be okay. That hasn't been working, hasn't hurt us yet. And then our magic recovery, I would say don't go any lower than that. So our health does go up when we actually proc one of our class abilities. It'll go up. And so that's nice. It goes up by about 2k. So our crit resistance, I like to be between 1500 and 2000. So the 1743 is really nice. For me, that seems to be working out really great. We are using Dubious Cameron Throne as our food, so we're using the cheap food, so everybody can cheer about that, because every one of my other builds uses like super expensive food, so this has been really nice. Anyways, Dubious Cameron Throne gives you some stamina recovery, max stam, and max health. So if you wanted to lose and go under 1k stamina recovery, you could gain another 4 here, another 2 here, and another 2 here if you went to Sugar Skulls. So the Bewitched Sugar Skulls. It would also take up your health recovery, would go up to another 400. So you'd be up at 700 with that. So weapon critical is pretty low. Doesn't really matter because the way we line up our burst on this build. Looking at our build at the bars too. So pretty basic setup for a two-hander. Now, you don't need a gap closer if you were running Falcon Swiftness or you were running the Morph that gives you Minor Berserk. However, what I kind of come to the realization is when I drop this stamina ability off my bar and I add this magicka ability to maneuver around the battlefield, I'm going to be depleting my magicka field, which has less magic regen, and the only reason I need my magicka is for my heals and buffs. So if I deplete my magicka zipping around the battlefield, then I'm not going to have it when I need it. And so for that reason, we're just going to stick with the gap closer for the time being. You don't need any type of gap closer or movement speed if you don't want. You could drop these off and run with something else, camo hunter, for minor berserk if you wanted to do that. But there's other options you could do. Anyways, this is the route we went. Crit rush, and it's always going to be a crit and deals additional damage based on the distance traveled. And we're running Dizzy Swing. This is unbuffed, and this is our primary spammable and form of CC for us. We're running Reverse Slice. This has some splash damage. We like the splash damage because Subterranean Assault also does splash damage as well. Plus this applies Major Fracture, so we're doing more damage. And we are running Bull Netch, and Bull Netch is really super OP, to be honest, because there's no cost for it whatsoever. It does give you a little bit of stamina back. It gives you major brutality, so our weapon damage is increased by 20%. This thing lasts, I'm still leveling it right now, and it lasts 23 seconds, which is great. But at the bottom, every 5 seconds, the Netch removes one negative effect from you. That's awesome. And because it's a free ability, if a sorcerer casts Haunting Curse on me, I can just click this and it's going to get rid of that debuff on me, and I'm going to get a little heal from it because of this passive, Bonds with Nature. Anytime one of your animal companions ends, you're healed. So free ability that gives me a little heal, gives me a little stamina, gives me a major brutality buff, and on its own removes negative effects from me, or I can resummon it to remove negative effects. So I went with this over Rally or over Forward Momentum, so which costs stamina. Like I said, this was another call. We're at a perfect balancing point where stamina expense and magicka expense, and we're able to get it done. So anyways, that's the way we went. Bull Netch. And right now we're running Berserker Strike, and you can see how we're leveling it, but I'm probably going to come off of Berserker Strike. I'm not going to go with Onslaught, and we're going to go Dawnbreaker route because I have a lot of people that are dodge rolling this, and that's pretty disappointing. You save up 157 ultimate just for them to dodge roll this. So at least with Dawnbreaker, it does that conal AoE attack, and they're not going to dodge roll it. And so Dawnbreaker's probably going to be the way to go. Plus, there's a passive in the Dawnbreaker passives that gives you, for every Dawnbreaker ability, or every fighter guild ability that you have on your bar, you gain 1% additional weapon damage. So we're just going to get more weapon damage out of it. So Dawnbreaker is going to be the route we're going to go, and I'll make that change real soon. On the back bar, so here's what made the build for me. We're running 2 stamina heals and we're running 2 magicka heals, and so anyways, Soothing Spores is our burst heal, and you can see I'm still leveling it here, but I was really impressed by this heal. And then we're running Resolving Vigor, which is our heal over time, and it's real heavy heal over time, so that's the Old Faithful for every stamina build mostly. And Magicka, we're running Leeching Vines, so it does heal me for a small amount. And as I'm taking damage, and it applies minor lifesteal to targets so that are damaging me. So that works out really well, especially if we use these together. So I apply minor magicka steel to people that are attacking me, and then this does a conal attack to people. So people are attacking me, multiple people. But anyways, this has Arctic Blast has a burst heal on it, and you can actually see it's only 1,000. Right now it's only 1,000 less than this burst heal, but it does 700 heal over time for 5 seconds, and it does 817 frost damage every 1 second. and around you. And so the thing is, if the enemy is hit by this effect 3 times, they are stunned. So this actually is my CC outside of using a heavy attack, dizzy swing to off balance, stun somebody. The, this is my CC when I'm in group fights, and it's been working out really well. And so having 2 stamina heals and 2 magicka heals. Now, if you don't need those type of heals, by all means drop an ability, drop 2 abilities. If you think you can get by with just these two, or just these two, then do that. That's great. You got room for 2 more abilities on here. You could probably go to dual wield, and you could pick up this and then pick up the morph that does a heal over time and drop that on there. So there's another die. You could probably drop Blade Cloak on there too, because we are running 5 heavy. You're not going to have access to elude or whatever. So Blade Cloak and then Quick Blade might be the way to go to zoom around the battlefield. I don't know, but this combination worked out really well for me. I felt very tanky. And then we're running Ice Fortress, and you gain minor protection, reducing all damage taken by 8%, and that's right, really nice. This is our major resolve. It gives us our armor buff. And we are pack leader right now, and um, it's nice when we're on this back bar. So we've done work on our front bar, and then we're switching our back bar to throw some heals. I could, if I'm in a pinch for stamina, I could throw these up and then be heavy attacking from my back bar, and because of this passive, we have more. While slotted, your stamina recovery is increased by 15%, and so I do have heals coming in, and I have a CC getting ready to go out, and I'm heavy attacking, and I have more stamina. So that was working out really well for me. Um, I need to play around with this build in werewolf form more to you know, to say, yes, this is a viable werewolf build. I have a feeling that it is going to be a viable werewolf build for sure, because we're using axes, and I think that that will increase our bleed damage and stuff like that. The build feels really nice right now, so I'm pretty sure werewolf will work out. But if you're looking for exclusively for a werewolf build, I do have a werewolf build on my videos. I just did one maybe a week ago, and it says werewolf, ESO werewolf on it, and that build was a lot of fun for BGs, and it is built specifically for being a werewolf while you're in BGs. So check that video out. I'll actually link it in the descriptions below too. But those are some options for you. Let's buff up. We're going to look at the stats here real quick, just kind of see where we're at. All right, weapon damage. We're at 4562, and then when you add the 400 weapon damage glyph, it'll take us to 4900 weapon damage, and so that's really nice. Our crit's low, but doesn't matter. 20,000 physical and spell resistance, and we can get up to 26 with our Bloodspawn proc. And so I like where our stats are at with everything, but let's go back and look at the abilities here. So we are in no CP right now, so we got a 9,000 dizzy swing, and our subterranean assault's 10,000, a little over, and 11,000 on our berserker strike, and onslaught will be a little bit bigger. And then our heals 7,700, 14,000, and 6,300 on our Arctic Blast. So as far as passives and everything like that, I think we already talked about we use Dubious Cameron Throne on this build, so that works out well. We are a werewolf here. You take more damage. Mundus Stone, we are using the Warrior Mundus Stone, and you can see that we are in Imperial City, so we do have some added stats here. As far as passives, though, just always make sure you have all your racial passives for the most part. For all of them, all your class passives, all your racial passives. We are an orc, so we got 2k extra stamina from Brawny, and then unflinching rage. We've got an extra 1,000 health, and then when you deal damage with a weapon ability, you heal for 600, which is great because our primary spammable is a weapon ability, so works out really well. And then we get additional weapon damage as an orc, and then our sprint cost is reduced by 12%, and our movement speed is increased by 10%. So we're pretty fast when we run around on this guy. Um, So, two-handers, you want to make sure that you get all the passives for your two-hander ability, and then if you're going to run dual wield on your back bar, I'm still leveling that, but you will only need these last two passives, unless you decide that you want to pick up Twin Slash or Blood Craze, the one that does a heal over time, and back bar it and drop one of your heals. If you decide to pick up any of the abilities that are going to do damage, you might want to start dropping points into these top three, but Ruffian and Twin Blade and Blunt are the two best passives if you're just going to be hanging out on your back bar for heals. So for this build in particular, I might actually do a Subterranean Assault and switch to my back bar for heals, and the Subterranean Assault shoots out, and if I'm on my back bar, this is going to do some extra damage. So um, we are only running two medium right now, 5 heavy, so you'll only need the first 3 passives for medium armor, and then for your heavy armor you'll need all the passives for that. Werewolf build right now, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there is potentially some werewolf changes coming around. And it operates very similar to a stamina or a magicka necromancer, like the necromancer class, where at the bottom of some of the abilities it says um, at all, gain 3% healing at all times while slotted, gain 3% additional damage mitigation at all times while slotted, gain whatever. And so they're doing that with some werewolf. I've seen some pictures and videos of proposed werewolf changes that it's needed, because right now werewolf is not in a good place, and vampire is getting ready to have a complete overhaul. If you haven't seen the changes from that, it looks pretty impressive. So they need to show werewolf some love, and change some of the things. But anyways, that's what they're looking at doing, and I really like the proposed images or videos that I'd seen. So let's see if they stick though. But anyways, we're running Brutal Pounce. It's going to give you some upfront damage, and it just does direct damage on an area when you land, and it hits everyone in that area. And then Claws of Life's probably the best play when you're running a werewolf, because healing for werewolves seems to be the problem, and the fact that you take 25% more poison damage, so Nightblades just absolutely eat your face. And with something as simple as poison injection, they're hurting you, so they hit you with a lethal arrow too, and that doesn't help. So anyways, Claws of Life is your direct damage, and then it has a damage over time, and it heals you for 100% of the damage. This isn't going to save you, but you need every amount of heals you can get on a werewolf for sure. Howling Agony is our spammable, I guess you would say. So we do a heavy attack into a Howl of Agony, and the proposed change, if you guys haven't seen it for this, is deals 33% more damage to enemies. Like at the bottom it says deals 33% more damage, 33% more damage to enemies that are feared. They actually removed the feared part of it, and it says does 33% more damage to people that are in front of you. So as long as they're in front of you, they're getting 33% more damage. So you don't have to hit your fear before you do work with them on that. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Deafening Roar, this is my CC, and it applies major fracture to targets. So currently, in the way the game's set up, I'll do Deafening Roar, so that way they're feared, and then we can do 33% more damage to them. And we're running Hircine's Fortitude, and I think this is the morph that I know that this is the morph that does more healing. It's kind of odd that it's a huge magicka expense. If you see that 6k magicka to get this heal, and this is kind of where our problem comes into with werewolf on a lot of stamina builds is 6k, you got 2 heals in you, you know. If you've got 12k magicka, you got 2 heals in you, and then what? You know, you're waiting for your magicka to regen, and so, but this is the bigger heal of the two. The other morph actually gives you a smaller heal, and it gives you Major Berserk. So that way, if you're staying in Werewolf for an extended amount of time, um, you'll you can upkeep your Major Berserk, so your weapon damage. So that was kind of an oversight, I think, that they're going to be fixing here with some of the proposed changes. You guys will have to check out videos on those. They just hit today on the proposed changes for Werewolf and things that are starting to leak out that'll probably come with our next installment of the game. But anyways, that's what we're running for Werewolf. And let's see. We went through the armor, we went through the abilities, we went through the stats, we went through the food, and we went through Werewolf. So I think that's the entire build. I'm going to link the BG footage, and I'm going to link the Werewolf video of the other build if you're here looking for a Werewolf build. Not saying that this isn't a Werewolf build, I just haven't tested it yet in that capacity, whereas the other build was built exactly for a Werewolf. So if you have any questions, leave them below, and I'll do my best to answer whatever I can. And please hit that like and subscribe. Thanks. Be safe out there.